Welcome back to yet another thrilling episode, Crypto Family. Having you here today is a pleasure. I hope you are having an amazing day, regardless of where you are watching from in the world. We're delving deeply into some amazing advancements in the XRP space today. You'll want to stay for this one, I promise. Here is something that is currently causing quite a stir in the cryptocurrency community. Everyone is talking about this shocking comparison that was just made by a reputable expert from Crypto Basic. They claim that everyone who is whining about XRP taking too long should seriously consider Amazon's path. And here's the thing. Amazon went from only 9 cents to $29. The chart pattern of XRP and some of the largest success stories we've ever witnessed are now being fascinatingly compared by cryptocurrency aficionados. One thing is evident whether you're examining the phenomenal rise of Tesla or the rapid expansion of Amazon. XRP's chart appears to be quite optimistic from every perspective, and this is what truly excites me. In the present cycle, even the most cautious analysts continue to advocate for 3-digit XRP pricing. To be honest, though, I believe we're thinking too narrowly here. XRP will surpass Amazon in more ways than one. We are discussing a project that has the potential to outperform both Apple and Amazon, with space to include a number of other significant companies. It's easy to understand why I feel so secure about this. XRP only gets stronger as Ripple keeps developing and growing their ecosystem. This isn't merely conjecture. This is laying the groundwork for something genuinely extraordinary. Speaking of Amazon, there is a persistent rumor that is constantly spreading around our community. And to be honest, it's worth talking about. Do you recall when analyst Kendra Hill asserted that Amazon had gotten hold of XRP? That story is making the rounds once more, and the time is perfect. This is what the conjecture points to. Amazon is said to have obtained a huge 5 billion XRP back in 2015. Here we are discussing a sizable portion of the entire supply. This argument states that such tokens have been sitting in lockup, awaiting an official declaration of a collaboration. Let's be totally honest now. Amazon and Ripple have not verified any of this. Right now, it's all conjecture. Here's what's interesting, though. The recurrent nature of this rumor demonstrates how eager the market is for information regarding significant institutional participation. And you know what? This seemed a bit unrealistic when Kendra Hill initially brought it up years ago. However, in the present day, it actually makes a lot more sense. Consider what we are currently witnessing. Institutions are entering the cryptocurrency market in greater numbers than ever before. It would be a wise strategic move for Amazon to acquire an early stake in XRP. Think about this. XRP has the ability to address numerous issues with Amazon's payment system and more. Therefore, even though we are unable to verify whether this actually occurred, the reasoning behind it is growing stronger by the day. Now, let's discuss a current event that is truly amazing. In terms of net ETF flows, XRP is really outperforming Bitcoin, and the explanation for this is quite enlightening. Some significant outflows are occurring from Bitcoin's ETFs. Bitcoin ETFs experienced a huge net outflow of about $195 million on December 4th alone. Even one of the best performing stocks, IBIT from BlackRock, saw a $111 million one-day outflow. To put this in context, the total historic net inflow for IBIT is still an astounding $62.5 billion. This is where things become extremely interesting for us XRP holders, but we're not talking about a total exodus. Since these withdrawals occur daily, all of that money must eventually find a home, right? Now, I'm not claiming that this change will occur instantly. These significant financial changes don't operate that way. However, consider what would happen if a sizable amount of money began to move from Bitcoin ETFs to XRP ETFs. The price movement of XRP may be about to undergo a radical upheaval. Friends, we may see 4-digit XRP pricing sooner rather than later, if we hit that sweet spot when scarcity sets in, and significant institutional funds begin to move from Bitcoin into XRP. I want to talk about something that has been in the news lately, the concept of a national Bitcoin reserve. Rob Paul's response definitely caused me to reconsider this proposal. We ought to listen to his thoughts. Trump suggested creating a national Bitcoin reserve fund-style stockpile. How will this affect the cryptocurrency market, in your opinion? Is a Kentucky native named Lucio named, since the US dollar is the world's reserve currency, I believe it to be somewhat of a red herring. Other assets are not required to be held in reserve by the US. That was a legacy of abandoning the gold standard, but yes, it had gold. Other nations don't require it because they must have reserves to back their own currencies. Would they do it now? It sounds ostentatious to me. I'm not entirely sure why, though. However, let's assume that they do. Let's assume I'm mistaken. They do construct something. It's a strange world, because although it's undoubtedly helpful for the cryptocurrency market because there is another customer, Bitcoin was created in an attempt to challenge governmental authority over money. You're now making the government one of the biggest purchasers of private funds. Although I don't particularly enjoy that, the price of cryptocurrency will likely benefit overall. Now, if that were the case, it might shift private money use away from Bitcoin. Because if the government can manage it, they could dump it onto the market, buy more, and before you know it, they're controlling ordinary money and utilizing it like interest rates, which is something we don't want. The analyst presents a strong argument. The government effectively gains the ability to regulate the price of Bitcoin if it builds up a sizable stockpile. They could allow it to rise by 5 to 10% and then immediately lower it if they so want. Furthermore, I don't think this is genuinely optimistic for cryptocurrency in the long run. Although the current administration is pro-crypto and everything appears to be going well, what happens if the political tide turns? What happens if a future government decides to be less supportive of cryptocurrencies? Imagine this situation. People are confident in the market and investing at these current prices when a new administration decides to dump the whole government stockpile back into the market. A crash might occur that would make earlier bear markets appear to have been only slight corrections. As this area continues to develop, it's something we really need to consider seriously. This is my perspective on the Bitcoin stockpiling issue, which I believe is important for everyone to know. What is the purpose of cryptocurrency ownership if it cannot be utilized to address the actual issues we are having with the US dollar? I see it just that way. I don't get the concept of a Bitcoin stockpile at all. This approach has much too many underlying issues, and to be honest, I don't think it will be useful anytime soon. We need more than simply digital hoarding. We need solutions. Let's now discuss a topic that ought to be of interest to all. Ripple has received a huge $500 million commitment from Wall Street. And this occurred after their internal analyses found that XRP accounts for 90% of Ripple's net asset value. Take a moment to consider that. In addition to establishing this sizable capital allocation and protecting against volatility in the digital asset market, the inclusion of those necessary safety provisions demonstrates their seriousness about institutional risk mitigation. Imagine this. Wall Street recently invested $500 million in Ripple, and they obviously don't think XRP is a problem at all. This is what's really baffled me, though. There is a single really important item that was left out of this evaluation. The escrow. Why was the escrow left out of this evaluation? In my opinion, and this may sound crazy, that escrow may already be owned by someone else. Perhaps Ripple demonstrated to these organizations that the escrow has already been paid for. Who can tell for sure now?